back and feel free to argue. And just been doing some thinking. Thought I would give you the benefits of what's been going on in my head while trying not to run into people. I have been thinking a lot about what's been going on in Israel and Palestine, Gaza, and first of all, I'd like to really recommend Ella's video, which I will put a link to up at the bar. One of the things that she talks about in her video is the report from the Red Crescent, which is the Muslim equivalent of the Red Cross, and their reports about what's going on in Gaza, about the incredible shortages of just about everything necessary to take care of the, of course, hundreds, thousands of injured people who are now flooding into the hospitals because of the Israel ground offensive in Gaza. Because of all these things coming together, it made me think a bit about our actions in Iraq and kind of why Iraq went to hell in a handbasket so quickly. Because we have this idea now of economic sanctions. Well, what is economic sanctions? Well, allegedly what economic sanctions is supposed to do is get a country to change its behavior. So what you're doing, I guess, is by starving the people of the country, because, the whole idea of, a despotic regime is that the despots that are running the country have almost total control over the population. So the one thing that I've never gotten, really, is how if you're going to punish the population, how that's really going to take care of your problem. Basically what you're doing is you're taking the population, you're trying to not kill them, though you do all the time. Certainly we did in Iraq, the 500,000 children. But ostensibly you're not trying to kill them. You're trying to, I think, get them to the point where their misery and suffering is so incredible that they say, hey, this miserable misery and suffering is so incredible, it's being caused by my government. Let's go overthrow the government. But there's some problems with this. First of all, it's much too easy to turn all this anger and hatred and frustration and panic against whatever outside force that you want to turn it against. So, rather than the people getting upset at their own government, because the government has control, usually also of the means of disseminating information, the government just tells them that, well, it's this outside force that's making you starve. It's not our fault. And so all the blame gets externalized. The government gets off scot-free. The government says, hey, look, we're trying to fight this, but, what can we do? And the government comes out looking like a rose, whereas, the opposing forces who are imposing the economic sanctions get blamed for them. And, probably rightfully so. But, I think the larger question, even, above and beyond that, is that there's this incredible, lack of efficacy. It just doesn't work to change countries', paths. And so all you end up doing is causing this incredible amount of suffering. And you get these people, the people who don't die are right on the edge of dying. So this is the kind of situation that we went into in Iraq, where we have this country that we've forcibly been kind of keeping everybody in the entire country right at the brink of, having a tolerable existence. Trying to push them as far as we can without killing them. And, of course, when there's this breakdown of society after the invasion, and because of a lot of the stupid decisions we make, there's no resiliency there in the civilization where they can deal with the fact that we're screwing it up. Even a little bit of screwing up, and it was more than a little bit what we did, but even if even as an occupying force and a small percentage of the country, you know, by the number of people, we were able to screw it up so completely because it was right on the verge of being a totally fucked up place already, and all it did was us coming in and, like, you know, banging out the last couple of supports that were holding the thing together, and, you know, it fell apart completely. And I think this may actually be turning into a bit of an art form, because it seems like very much what Israel has done with the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank, because you keep these people teetering on the edge of total collapse, and then all it takes is you going in there and doing something a little bit more aggressive, and everything completely falls apart. Now, there's one other point that I wanted to make, and it's kind of unrelated and it's kind of related, but it has to do with, like, the way that we feel empathy, and it's kind of me calling bullshit on myself, because one of the things that happened to me recently is I saw a news report somewhere on YouTube. I can't even remember. It's not really that important where I found it, because the specific thing I saw is not going to be that significant to anybody else. What I saw actually was a picture of a girl who was just like standing with her family looking at, like, the bombed out building that used to be her home. And she looked well, not exactly, of course, but I mean, she looked stunningly like this girl that has been in my daughter's class for quite a while. What really surprised me, you know, given that intellectually I've been on the side pretty much of the Palestinians and been against the Israelis pretty much from the get-go, and yet there was this incredibly strong emotional reaction that I had to seeing this picture of this girl who just looks similar to a girl that I knew. For some reason, just this physical resemblance, for some reason, was so much more compelling to me than the intellectual idea of, you know, all these people, you know, being treated so cruelly. And it really made me wonder about, you know, how our empathy works and how much we can intellectualize things like this. I mean, what is the source of true empathy? What has to happen to get people to really feel strongly about something, strongly enough to do stuff? And I don't know, I've actually found my reaction really worrisome, because I would hope that I would have the same reaction, knowing what I know, regardless of the physical appearance. I mean, what if none of them look like anything like any of the people that you know, I know and care about? And does that mean that there's this level of empathy and compassion that's always going to be lost to me, and that I'm never going to be able to feel for those people, though they deserve it? They deserve it, and there's no reason why they don't deserve it, you know, based on not looking, you know, randomly like anybody that I've encountered in my life and, you know, felt any sort of, you know, attachment to. So those are my ideas, and I don't know. As always, you can feel free to argue or help me kind of refine these thoughts or perceptions that I'm having. Thanks a lot, everyone.